Hi, this is BBAU Ukraine Analytics and my name is Bogdan Butkevych. I'm Ukrainian journalist and blogger.
Hi, and I'm Olena Vostrova, a Ukrainian vlogger, and here we give you the top news, analytics and insights from Ukraine about Ukraine and Ukrainians and about Russia-Ukraine war. So subscribe to our channel if you want to know the insider information about Ukraine and if you want to know what Ukrainians think about Russia-Ukraine war and about what's going on in the world. So you can subscribe to our channel and we give you the analytics about this almost every week.
Yep, and what is useful to Americans to know about our conflict and why this conflict is not so bad for you. Okay, so in this video we will tell you about the unique, success of Ukrainian armed force at Black Sea. Many so far experts from the Western media like to teach the Ukrainian army to fight from their sofa, and win in the conditions of the enemy's, superiority in the air.
Nevertheless, there is unique success of the armed forces of Ukraine in the field, where Russian Federation simply has a total advantage, and it is at the sea.
When Russia attacked Ukraine in 2022, it already had complete superiority at the sea. After all, Ukraine actually had no large ships, really no large ships, only little. There were a couple of them, if I'm not mistaken, two very old, and they were lost during the first months of the hostilities. And Russia blocked Ukraine's Black Sea ports, all Black Sea ports.
Instead, since March last year, if I'm not mistaken, an operation has started to systematically to chase away the Russian Federation from the Ukrainian part of the Black Sea.
Its first act was the sinking of the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet of Russia, the cruiser Moskva, in April 2022. I think you remember that story.
Yes, the next step was the liberation of Zmyiny Island, and we told you about this in this video.
Because of these events, the Russian Federation was forced to agree to the grain agreement because they could no longer control the northwestern part of the Black Sea, Ukrainian part of the sea, with its ships. So where Ukrainian Neptune missiles and British Norwegian harpoons were aimed at them.
However, from the territory of Crimea and Sevastopol, the Russian fleet continued to actively strike Ukraine with Caliber missiles and try to block navigation in international waters closer to Turkey.
Plus, at the same time, the Russians began to slow down the grain agreement. In particular, they did not check the ship that was going from Ukrainian ports for several months.
And it became obvious for everybody that sooner or later Russian Federation would withdraw from the agreement and block shipping again.
Yeah. In such condition, the Ukrainian military leadership, for example, General Zaluzhny, decided that the only reliable guarantor of Ukrainian shipping would be the displacement of the Russian fleet from the Sevastopol, from the main base of this fleet in Crimea.
So it was precisely the task that Ukraine started to solve from the beginning of the summer of this year.
Ukrainian forces began a planned operation to destroy Russian air defense in Crimea.
In parallel, a brilliant operation to capture gas drilling platforms in the Black Sea was carried out, and we also showed you this in this video.
So the Russians sized them back in 2014 and used them as a stationary sites, to make a full control over the Ukrainian part of the Black Sea and about the coast of Ukraine near the Black Sea.
So in August, Ukraine, that essentially doesn't have a large fleet, doesn't have a large navy, went on the offensive against Russian ships.
With the help of naval drones, the Ukrainian defense forces managed to damage, a number of enemy ships. The large, for example, amphibious assault ship, with, awful name, Olenegorsky Gornyak. Try to say.
That's Olenegorsk Mina.
Yeah, Olenigorsk Miner.
Olenigorsk Miner.
It's a sponsor of this ship. I'm not joking, really. You can imagine. It's a Russian army. Okay, and also the several military tankers and patrol ships.
So Russians and the Black Sea Fleet of Russian Federation became afraid of going to sea, and it was closed in the Sevastopol Bay.
And then in September, then came the time for Ukraine to attack the Sevastopol Bay and the ships there.
After a series of successful destructions of Russia's latest system S-400 air defense, the Ukrainian Air Forces was able to hit a large Rostov-on-Don caliber carrier submarine directly in Sevastopol.
Yep. So the crown of the operation was the strike on with the British Storm Shadow missiles on the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol, during which several dozens of high-ranking officers died.
Almost all Russian fleet has left Sevastopol in recent days.
And the main part, it was transferred to Novorossiysk, specifically, Russian territory on their side of the Black Sea. And also some part, smaller part of these ships came to the Feodosia, a city on the eastern coast of Crimea under the cover of land.
And we can say that it is a huge victory of Ukrainians because it is achieved in the conditions of complete and uncompatible, undisputed dominance of the Russians.
Of course, it would not be possible without the help of the Britain and France with long-range cruise missiles. However, they still need to be applied correctly. So what the Ukrainians demonstrated to all over the world, having shown the whole world that Ukraine is a master of the unconventional offensive operations.
So the consequences of this victory was the opening of shipping from the Black Sea ports.
In the last few days, after the escape of the Russian fleet from the Sevastopol, almost 24 ships with grain, metal and other goods left Odessa, Pivdenne and Chornomorsk.
And as a consequence, the Russians now are afraid of getting closer to Ukraine, even to the Ukrainian part of the sea.
However, one should not think that the Russian Federation will not seek to block the sea for Ukraine again. The main threat is the Russian aviation, which regularly tries to bomb the sea and the Zmini Island near the area of civilian ships. So that captains and, ship owners may be afraid of sailing to Ukraine, and also insurance companies stop insuring ships and goods in Ukraine.
Also, as British intelligence, once the Russians can try to, this sort of remote mining.
Yep.
But the Russians want to escape responsibility. It is obvious they don't want to be blamed for the fact that the ships would blow up. So they want to do it like remote mining.
Yeah, there have already been several cases of mines blowing up ships in the area of Romanian territorial waters. However, fortunately, it's a very good luck, but for now, the ships were not seriously damaged. But there is no doubt that the Russians will continue their attempts.
After all, the current shipping completely takes away from them grain, because they use grain as an instrument of their influence on the world. So they won't blackmail Africa, for example, no longer
with hunger,
right? And this is not a very good case for Russia.
As well, they cannot do, for example, now all trying to collapse the Ukrainian economy by squeezing our economy and forcing our economy to make, unfavorable compromises with neighboring countries such as Poland. So they let our goods to move through their territory, for example, to their ports.
Right, and we should say that such situations shows how weak Russian Federation is in this sphere, and it is very vulnerable in these marine matters.
Russians were unable not only to land near Odessa their troops, but were also forced to flee from the Crimea, although they had a complete advantage in everything, from ships to missiles and planes.
So this is a great success of the armed forces of Ukraine, but it shows that it requires the West to support it with supplies of long-range missiles, because they will keep the Black Sea Fleet away from Crimea.
in general, to demilitarize the occupied peninsula, and in this way to dramatically bring the end of the war closer. After all, then the Russians will get rid of the entire area for their southern grouping of troops.
So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Please write your comments right under this video.
And subscribe to our channel. I think it's very useful to you to listen to you about Ukraine from the Ukrainians, because I think we have many things to say to you, and you will not hear it from anybody from us.
Yeah, let us be your Ukrainian insiders. Papa.